Kento Nanami's story is a fascinating one. He's this humble, sincere guy who, despite everything turning dark around him, manages to be one of the most hopeful characters in the story. It's interesting because he often feels like his role isn't all that big in the grand scheme, but actually, he represents so much more. Nanami's journey really critiques the world he's in. He doesn't hold back in pointing out its flaws, and yet, there's this undercurrent of idealism in him. Let's dive deeper into understanding the complex layers of Kento Nanami. 1. Professionalism and Discipline. Nanami's character is a captivating study in professionalism and discipline, uniquely framed by his dual roles as a salaryman and a jiu-jitsu sorcerer. This contrast in his life stages between the structured, predictable world of a salaryman and the chaotic, perilous realm of jiu-jitsu sorcery reveals much about his character. It's striking how he applies the same level of meticulousness and discipline to both worlds, indicating a deeply ingrained ethos rather than mere professional obligation. Analyzing his approach further, Nanami exhibits a remarkable attention to detail, whether he's in a corporate setting or in the heat of battle. This isn't just about being thorough, it's a reflection of his worldview, where every action, no matter how minor, is pivotal and executed with precision. This meticulous nature goes beyond just being a skill, it's his guiding principle, shaping every decision and action. Interestingly, Nanami's strict adherence to rules doesn't make him inflexible. In the unpredictable world of jiu-jitsu sorcery, his ability to adapt while maintaining his principles is crucial. This balance between rigidity and adaptability is not just a trait, but a nuanced strategy, showcasing how he navigates complex scenarios while staying true to his core values. It's this blend of unwavering discipline and flexibility that makes his character particularly intriguing, especially in a domain where unpredictability is the only constant. Thus, Nanami's character is not just defined by his professionalism and discipline, but is enhanced by his ability to maintain these qualities in vastly different contexts. His approach offers a unique lens through which to view the challenges of adhering to one's principles in the face of change and uncertainty, making his character a rich subject for analytical exploration. 2. Realism and Practicality. Nanami's take on life and sorcery is all about being realistic and practical, and that's a huge shift from how characters like Yuji usually think and feel. Nanami doesn't let emotions cloud his judgment. Instead, he looks at things objectively, like he's putting on a pair of glasses that help him see the world more clearly. This way, he can cut through the noise and focus on what really matters, leading him to make smart, effective decisions. When it comes to making choices, Nanami's all about understanding the situation as it is, not as he wishes it to be. He's like a chess player, always thinking a few moves ahead, weighing his options based on what he's got and what he's up against. This isn't just making decisions on the fly, it's about being thoughtful and deliberate in responding to whatever comes his way. Nanami's down-to-earth approach is super valuable. He deals with the supernatural stuff with the same level-headedness as he would with everyday problems. And that's pretty rare in a place where people often rely on gut feelings or old traditions. But don't get me wrong, Nanami isn't stuck in his ways. He's totally open to new ideas and finding the most efficient solutions, even if they're a bit out there. This ability to adapt and innovate is key in a world full of surprises and unknown dangers. Nanami's way of seeing things also brings a nice balance to Yuji's more idealistic way of thinking. It's like they both have different pieces of the puzzle, and together, they get a fuller picture of the world and its challenges. Nanami's practicality can be a real eye-opener for Yuji, showing him another way to look at things. At the same time, Yuji's optimism can challenge Nanami to think beyond just the facts, opening doors for growth for both of them. 3. Strategic Intelligence. Now, Nanami isn't just your typical fighter in the world of jiu-jitsu sorcery. He's a mastermind, a strategist who uses his brains just as much as his brawn. This is super important because being strong isn't the only thing that counts. You've got to be smart, and Nanami is exactly that. Nanami's got this ability to break down and understand curse techniques like nobody's business. He's not just reacting to what's thrown at him, he's analyzing how these techniques work, what their limits are, and then crafting a strategy around that. This means he's always one step ahead, ready to counter whatever his opponent tries to pull off. When it comes to planning his moves, Nanami's like a chess player. He tailors his strategy for each opponent, mixing direct combat with a keen awareness of his environment and understanding of the opponent's psyche. It's not just about when to hit, it's about when to hold back, when to push forward, and how to use everything around him to gain an advantage. But Nanami's smarts go beyond just fighting. He's got a deep, holistic understanding of the whole jiu-jitsu world, its history, principles, and all the different curse techniques out there. This broad knowledge base isn't just for show. It informs every decision he makes, giving him a sophisticated edge in battle. Nanami's ability to adapt on the fly really stands out. He's quick on his feet, always ready to change up his tactics in response to whatever new challenge pops up. This flexibility is key to his success and shows just how sharp his strategic thinking is. Compared to other sorcerers, Nanami's approach is unique. While others might lean more on their physical strength or speed, Nanami's battles are a blend of physical skill and mental strategy. He's not just fighting, he's outthinking his opponents. And this strategic intelligence gives him a serious edge over his adversaries. By understanding their weaknesses and exploiting them, Nanami often outmaneuvers even the most powerful or unpredictable foes. 4. Sense of duty. Nanami really stands out because of his deep sense of duty and honor. Despite recognizing the flaws and brokenness within the sorcerer culture, Nanami came to understand that it wasn't completely devoid of value. He decided to set aside his reservations, focusing instead on the ultimate goal of helping others. His cynical view of the world and the disdain he held for many aspects of it didn't stop him from appreciating the small, positive changes he could bring into people's lives. For Nanami, these acts of assistance in making a difference, however small, were his form of salvation. It was a tough journey, filled with internal conflicts, but in the end, he knew that choosing to help others was the right decision for him. For Nanami, it's not about how many curses he defeats. He's haunted by the loss of a friend Haibara and the ongoing threat to innocent people. But his ideals are so strong that he can't turn away from helping others. It's this humanity in him, this sensitivity to the pain and struggles of others that really defines him. Take, for instance, the small moments of gratitude he receives, like a simple thank you from the bakery girl. These moments bring him to life. They're what keep him going. He says, "I have no regrets." This shows he's found happiness in helping others, understanding the true meaning of life in the process. Nanami's dedication to protecting the innocent isn't just about fulfilling his role. It's a deep-seated moral commitment. He sees himself as a guardian, standing up against evil to keep people safe. This isn't about gaining power or fame. It's about saving lives, and it adds a real depth to his character. He's always ready to do the right thing, no matter how dangerous it might be, showing true honor and integrity. Nanami's approach to fighting back wasn't about sparking a grand revolution, but rather about making small, tangible changes that positively impact others. His life is a testament to how small actions accumulate over time. The various small negatives and tragedies he experienced didn't just happen to him, they actively shaped his character and his transition into adulthood. Drawing from his own experiences, Nanami realized that just as these small negative experiences had a significant impact, so too could small acts of kindness and positive change. These small contributions, he understood, have real power, much like the negative ones. They might not transform the world overnight, but they act like the first domino in a series, the initial ripple that could lead to a larger wave, or the first spark that can ignite a greater fire. This philosophy, this belief in the power of small changes, becomes a part of his legacy, a legacy that would be continued and carried forward by a younger sorcerer. Nanami's life and actions demonstrate that sometimes the most profound impacts come not from dramatic gestures, but from the accumulation of many small, positive deeds. 5. Weariness and resignation. Nanami's constant battle with curses doesn't just drain him physically, but also wears him down mentally and emotionally. It's a tough gig being a jujutsu sorcerer, with no real breaks or time to just breathe and get away from it all. This chronic fatigue he's dealing with isn't just about being tired, it shows the real toll that such a high-pressure, high-stakes job can take on a person. But it's more than just physical tiredness. Imagine being on the front lines, facing curses and danger all the time. That kind of stress doesn't just go away when you clock out. It sticks with you, creating this deep-seated emotional exhaustion. It's like carrying a heavy load that you can never really put down, and it leads to this sense of resignation, almost like accepting that this weariness is just part of the job. Nanami's perspective on the life of a sorcerer is deeply marked by a sense of disillusionment, similar to what Kento experienced, though not as extreme. He came to see sorcerers as dehumanized, often used for purposes he found morally questionable. The turning point for him was the loss of his partner, Haibara. This tragedy profoundly shaped his view of the profession, reinforcing his belief that sorcerers often sacrifice themselves without any significant justification, sometimes even for causes that are ethically questionable. This realization and the accompanying pain and sorrow eventually led him to step away from the sorcerer's life. However, this departure wasn't a clean break. Trying out different professions didn't bring him the peace of freedom he sought. He was haunted by feelings of guilt and regret, especially about not being able to save Haibara. These emotional burdens took a toll on him, wearing him down and leaving deep emotional scars. His journey is marked by these struggles, reflecting the complex and often painful path he's walked. Nanami's disillusionment with the world of sorcery, reminiscent of Keto's experience, grew into a deeper opposition and even hatred for the profession. He recognized the flawed and often morally ambiguous nature of the sorcerer's life. However, Nanami eventually realized something crucial. Despite its imperfections, this path gave him a chance, however small, to make a real difference, something his regular jobs never did. He understood that his role as a jujutsu sorcerer, though part of a system he viewed as broken, allowed him to genuinely help and save people. He saw that staying and working within it gave him the opportunity to create positive change. Choosing to return, Nanami found a sense of fulfillment, however slight, in the gratitude he received from those he helped. This appreciation from others helped him deal with his past regrets and shame. His choice to stay in the profession, despite his reservations, allowed him to find a kind of redemption and purpose in contributing positively to the world, even in a small way. 6. Loneliness and isolation. Nanami's experience of loneliness and isolation really hits home the kind of personal sacrifices he's made as a jujutsu sorcerer. His commitment to his role sets him apart, not just in what he does, but in how he feels and relates to others. It's a stark reminder of what it means to self-sacrifice in the line of duty. His laser focus on his responsibilities creates this gap between him and everyone else. It's not like he's doing it on purpose, it's just how things can pan out when you're so dedicated. Because he's always swamped with work, making time for friends or even just casual hangouts isn't really in the cards for him. This inevitably leads to feeling isolated. Then there's his demeanor. To some, he might come off as cold or detached, but that's really his way of protecting himself. It's like he built this emotional wall to keep himself dialed into his duties. However, this same wall also keeps people at arm's length, adding to his sense of loneliness. Among his fellow sorcerers, those who understand the weight of such a life, there might be a sense of camaraderie. They're all in this together, sharing the same burdens and sacrifices, and this shared experience might bring a sense of understanding, even if it's unspoken. Nanami's journey is a real study in the price of altruism. His mission to protect others is noble, but it comes at the cost of his own personal life and connections. It's a solitary path he's chosen, and it's not without its inner conflicts. On one hand, he's fulfilled by his work, but on the other, he grapples with the human need for closeness and companionship. In the end, Nanami's story is a powerful reminder of the complexities and silent sacrifices of those who stand as protectors. It's a testament to the heroism that's often overshadowed by their isolation and the personal costs they bear in their noble pursuit. 7. Morality and ethics. Nanami's deep dive into the moral and ethical aspects of his actions really sets him apart. He's not just about following orders or sticking to protocol. Instead, he's constantly wrestling with the bigger questions of right and wrong, especially in a world where those lines can get pretty blurry. Take his role as a mentor, for instance. Nanami's approach to morality is different from someone like Gojo. He tries to stick to a set of external rules, aiming to stay on the side of righteousness. It's a more conventional take on morality, and even though it might seem a bit rigid, it's hard to argue that his heart isn't in the right place. Nanami's like a shield against what he perceives as wrong. When someone like Yuji is in danger, he's all in to save him, because that's what he believes is the right thing to do. But there's an interesting twist to Nanami. Despite appearing cold and strict, he's actually quite kind and caring. He genuinely worries about those around him, which raises the question, is he as detached as he seems? One of the most striking things about Nanami is his belief in righteousness, which often clashes with the harsh realities of the world. He's frustrated by the growing evil, the way people fall into dark paths, and the never-ending cycle of losing integrity. It bothers him that people can't seem to hold on to their moral principles even when they're strong. Nanami often faces ethical dilemmas where the line between good and evil isn't clear. These moments force him to think deeply about the impact of his actions, not just in terms of getting the job done, but in terms of what's morally right or wrong. Nanami's introspection is a big part of who he is. He doesn't just accept things at face value, he really thinks about whether his actions are morally justified. This kind of self-questioning adds a layer of complexity to his character, especially in situations where the right course of action isn't black and white. Despite the challenges, Nanami's choice stands as the best among many poor options. He's not out to start a revolution. Instead, he seeks those small, valuable moments in a world that often seems broken. It's significant that someone like Nanami, who considers himself just an average guy, can find such moments of value. It suggests that meaningful, albeit small, changes can lead to a greater, more profound transformation in the long run. 8. Past traumas. Nanami's past, filled with traumas and tough experiences, plays a huge role in shaping who he is in the series of Jujutsu Kaisen. These elements from his past don't just make him more complex, they're crucial for us to really get why he acts the way he does. His backstory is woven into his current life, giving us this rich story that helps us understand his evolution as a character. He might seem stern and harsh on the surface, but deep down, Nanami is all about kindness and care. This part of him really started to form back in his Jujutsu Tech days. Seeing his friends sacrifice their lives took a heavy toll on him, especially the death of his close friend Haibara. It left a deep mark on him, a scar that he carries with him. There's this moment in Season 2 where we see just how relentless and fierce Nanami can be. The intensity of his actions against the enemy is just staggering. It's like he's lashing out because, once again, he couldn't save his comrades. In that moment, we see his breakdown, his rage against the evil in the world. It's a powerful scene that shows a man deeply wounded by the cruelty around him. Nanami's way of dealing with his past traumas really highlights his resilience and vulnerability. The fact that he keeps going, despite all he's been through, shows his inner strength. But these traumas have also left him vulnerable, revealing the emotional and psychological cost of his journey. How he copes with these traumas is a big part of his character development. Whether he's throwing himself into his work, keeping an emotional distance, or reflecting on his actions, these coping mechanisms show how he's adapted to the challenges he's faced. Throughout all the challenges and moments of despair, Nanami remained committed to making a difference. He believed firmly in the power of perseverance and the cumulative impact of small, positive actions. But as his journey neared its end, the weight of everything he had endured finally took its toll. Exhausted and overwhelmed, Nanami reached his limit. In his final moments, amidst the chaos of the Shibuya incident, Nanami was in the grip of Mahito, facing the very real possibility of his end. Despite this, his indomitable willpower was evident. Had the circumstances been different, he would have continued fighting. But there, in the midst of turmoil, Nanami found a sense of satisfaction, or at least something akin to it. He allowed himself to imagine a different life, a peaceful, ordinary existence far removed from the battles and struggles he had known. Understanding his past helps build a connection and empathy with him. We start to see the man behind the disciplined sorcerer facade, someone who's overcome significant challenges. This understanding deepens our investment in his character and his story. In those last moments, Nanami reflected on his journey with a sense of completion. He saw in HBA the next generation, the next bearer of the torch he had carried so long. This wasn't a moment of surrender for Nanami. Rather, it was an acknowledgement for the significant impact he had made. He felt a sense of pride in his contributions and held onto a strong belief in Yuji's ability to carry on the fight. Nanami's faith in Yuji was a testament to his belief in the ongoing struggle against curses, a struggle he had been a vital part of and which he now entrusted to capable hands.
You take it from here.
JJK is set in an over-the-top, hysterical, yet beautifully curated world which has its own charms. The characters aren't your average shonen ones. They feel different. They all have their own motives to be powerful. A majority of them are insane and would probably go to any length to save the day and be the hero. But Kento Nanami wasn't one of them. He was a man who just wanted to do the right thing. But was he able to? And there you have it, folks. That's Kento Nanami in a nutshell. Hit that like button if you had as much fun as I did, and dive into the next video for more mind-blowing content. Peace!